Well, epigenetics is a fascinating question, and it's not a simple answer. But it really has, I think at its heart, it goes back to that old question that people talk about, is it nature versus nurture? That by that they mean, is it the environment that you grew up in? Is it your genetics? Or is it the things that you've experienced in life? What has the greatest cause on how people do the things that they do? And it's actually a pretty bad question because nature and nurture are so intertwined you can't really separate. You really can't. Some of the best research on that question ever was it's been done in the Scandinavian countries because they're smaller and they have socialized medicine, but they keep great records and they've done a lot of twin studies. And very interesting, one of the most serious mental illnesses you could have is paranoid schizophrenia, and they've had cases where twins. There's twins, two monozygotic twins, which means two people from one egg. So as genetically identical as you could be. And when one developed paranoid schizophrenia, the other one only had a 48% chance of developing paranoid schizophrenia. And that seemed to indicate that, gosh, maybe it was the environment that had one of the biggest factors, causative factors. Then when you start looking at environment, you have to, you have to peel away all the layers, excuse me, because it's not just, did you sleep on the right side of the bed or the left side of the bed? It's not just simple things like that. It's very, very complex factors. So here's an example. So if you have, because twins, again, two people from one egg, they can be born with very distinct personalities. So one might be a little bit fussy as a baby because they didn't get identical amounts of information, rather nutrition and whatnot in the womb. One might have gotten a lesser blood flow than the other. So one got a little bit better nutrition, did a little bit better in the womb than the other. So one comes out as a very calm, relaxed, happy-go-lucky baby. The other one comes out a little bit fussy. And it just so happens the mother they were born to, she tends to be a little bit anxious. So when she deals with a very calm, cool, relaxed baby, she gets smiles from that baby, which means that baby gets a lot of smiles back. Whereas the one who's a little bit anxious, she's worried about the baby, so she has kind of a frowny face, and the baby's a little bit fussy. So now they exchange a lot of frowny faces. That kind of thing is a factor that builds up over time. So epigenetics really talks about what is it that activates the genes that might actually cause paranoid schizophrenia. But under certain conditions, that's going to get activated. So it's talking about that idea. What are those conditions? How do those things get activated? And some of the earliest research, and he didn't really talk about this, epigenetics, but Hans Selye, who is probably one of our first really great researchers in stress, starting in the 1930s. He was a physician and a brilliant man, but he basically talked about the effects of stress. And he basically talked about how stress would cause an alarm reaction, a resistance reaction, and then an exhaustion reaction, that the chemical composition of stress, because stress we refer to in terms of neurotransmitters in the brain and chemicals, hormones in the bloodstream, it's a very distinct combination of chemicals. And he said that would basically exhaust you and it would lead to all kinds of illness. That's what he saw as a common thread with all of his patients who were so very sick. He didn't see what made them different. His major discovery was seeing what made them the same. Epigenetics really talks about how does stress activate genes. And stress will activate genes that will cause various illnesses, conditions to occur. So that's a probably overly simplified explanation of epigenetics, but it's pretty close to the mark.